Earlier this season, you told us that you'd spent every day planning for Tom Brady. I'm just wondering how long you've spent maybe planning to face Aaron Rodgers.
Same amount of time is required, to face this guy because those two are very alike. You're talking about two of the great players to ever play that position. And, I think Aaron's probably going to win his third MVP this year, rightfully so. And being able to have an up, close and personal seat, being in the division with him in Chicago, being able to play against him last year in Denver, and then really following him his whole journey, as a player in the NFL and in college, going back to Cal. I just have so much respect for him, what he's accomplished, what he's meant to that team, being able to follow a legend like Brett Favre and then have the career of your own that stands on its own. He's as good as it gets. And, excited to compete, on Saturday.
And Brandon, understanding that your focus obviously is on the Packers, but going back to Sunday, can you share at all what it was like to come off a big playoff win and then go right into 2 interviews for a head coaching position?
Yes, Lindsay, just a busy day, but, Sundays are always busy after a ball game. You just had to, take, more time, for those interviews, but had 2 really great visits with the Chargers and the Jets, humbled, as I mentioned to you guys last time, to be considered for a position like that in this league, an exciting opportunity to compete and meet with those teams. And then as soon as those interviews were over, you get right back to work on Green Bay. And, it was a busy day. It was a long day, but it was a good day.
Kevin?
I know it's always next man up, but Aaron Donald isn't just another guy. If he's unavailable or limited on Saturday, what do you do?
Yeah, Kevin, we have a deep group up front. Eric Henderson has done such a good job molding that group. I think you've seen the depth of that unit express itself just in that last game, in the last quarter and a half when Aaron went out. I think you saw guys make plays, Greg Gaines, Ashawn Robinson, Morgan Fox, Sebastian Joseph Day, Michael Brockers. That's a group that really, really excels as a group, and sometimes the strength of the group, is just as important as anything, especially in a long season like this. And, we're hoping that AD can go, but those guys, know what Aaron Donald means to our defense, and that there's a high standard that they have to live up to, that we all have to live up to. And I thought that they did that in that last quarter and a half.
How much has Michael Brockers' presence meant, him being the elder statesman, I guess, meant to you, meant to those guys?
Kevin, so much. The intangible value of that guy on a team, it's something that you can never quantify. You have to see it to know it. And when Brock, got to that game on Sunday, what it did for our locker room, and then when he got on that field, you just have to see it, to know it and to believe it, and means so much to our team. And to me personally, when you come into a team as a first-time defensive coordinator who no one's ever heard of, to have a guy like that accept you and to believe in you, and then to perform the way he has this year, being, a career year for him, he just means so much to me. And, I'm a huge Michael Brockers fan.
Thanks. Claudia?
Brandon, Aaron Rodgers is not only talented, but he's one of the smartest quarterbacks in the league. What is the biggest challenge? Putting pressure on him or covering all the talented receivers that has to choose from?
Yeah, Claudia, that question, sort of expresses why these weeks are so tough, because you got a lot of things to deal with. You got to deal with him, and certainly all his capabilities as a player, just all the talent he has physically and then mentally, all the experiences that he's had and all these big moments. And he's got this inventory that just extends far deeper than most players. And then he's got a really talented supporting cast. You don't put up the numbers that he's been able to put up with, without a really talented group of players. And I think I think he would probably tell you that the way their offensive line is performed, 2 first-team All-Pros, David Bakhtiari, who, I just want to say I have so much respect for that guy, being in the division and competing against him every year. he's not playing, but man, what an amazing player that guy is. And tip my cap to him, and hopefully he gets back next season in a big way, because he's one of the elite players in the league. But their line is played extremely well in front of him. And then he's got a cast of, receivers and backs that's really deep. We all know that Davante Adams is one of the top players in the league. You guys are aware of his production and their chemistry. And Davante has set a very high standard for a receiver in the league, let alone offensive player or any player. One of the premier guys in the league, in the entire league. And then they've grown up these younger receivers, and then they've got a really deep running back core. Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, and then the new guy, AJ Dillon. They're really deep. So they have a really deep offensive team, and that's why you see them, being able to stay balanced, productive, run and pass in all field zones, third down, red area, scoring. They're one of the elite offenses in the league.
Maria?
Hey, Brandon, just kind of talking about the defense as a whole. A lot of the players have said, we play as a unit, as a group, 11-on-1. They certainly showed that last week when Aaron went down. From your coaching perspective, is this something that you've sort of seen escalate over, the season, or when did you sort of click in and say, wow, these guys are playing at a different level?
Yeah, Maria, it takes so much time, to get to the point that we're at. And it's been so much work and so much purposeful work, in order to kind of operate, I think, how we are now. And I think that's why, we have created something special, is because we are doing it together. And I think people have that sense of purpose for one another, which is what team sports is all about. And I think when you see these guys, it doesn't matter who the guy is, come in the game and perform at a high level, and you see the type of energy and the spirit that we play with, then you got a good thing, and I'm talking about coaches and players, both sides of the ball. And that's what you need, Maria, in order to compete at this level, this deep in the season, because it's not just going to be a couple players or a couple coaches that get it done. The best teams are the ones that win in the playoffs. And we're hoping that we can keep it going.
Thank you.
Rashawn?
Hey, Coach. Rodgers may not be as mobile, I guess, as he was earlier in his career, but he still shows these moments here and there where it's, first down here, first down there. How leery do you have to be of that going in?
Yeah, Rashawn, this guy's one of the elite movers at that position. I think that he, just as you get older, you get wiser. I just think he uses his legs more tactically now than he did when he was a younger player. He still has that athleticism to buy time, to create, late in the down. And that's what makes him so challenging, because, Rashawn, when he moves, this guy is one of the most accurate throwers in the deep part of the field on the move in the history of this game. It's one thing to be mobile and to get out of trouble, but then to be as accurate as he is in the deep part of the field, it makes him that much more dangerous to defend. And it's a real strength of his game.
And then I'm not sure if you can tell me this or not, but does Ramsey travel with Adams this week?
Oh, Rashawn, I like how you try to sneak that one in there. That was smooth, We're still working through that right now, and they present a lot of challenges formationally and how they operate. And Davante's such a good player, but we're working through that.
Emmanuel?
Brandon, what have you seen out of Aaron Jones on film, and what challenges he presents here inside linebackers?
There are several, Emmanuel. Great contact balance, tremendous vision. This guy can see, can set up his blocks at a high level, can create offense when there isn't any offense to create. He's got a gear that's, I think, deceptive, because this guy can really run, and I think that, he's a really good short yardage goal line runner as well. And I think that separates you as a runner, is when you get into those scoring zones or in those gotta have it situations, can you get the tough yards, and he can do all those things. And he is a very capable pass catcher, which truly makes you a complete back, is can you add value in the passing game, and Aaron trusts him that way. And, very good in the blitz pickup game as well. So, he's a very complete back. He has been for a long time, and a real key to their offense.
Real. And how do you think Aubrey Pleasant has helped Jalen this season? And I brought the best out of him.
Yeah, Emmanuel, as I mentioned last week, Aubrey Pleasant is one of the elite coaches in the league. I told you guys last week about the minority coaching situation in this league, and that, we've got 3 guys, Aubrey, EJ, Evero, and Eric Henderson, who are as good as you're going to find. Aubrey, all you got to do is ask Jalen Ramsey, ask Darius Williams, Troy Hill about their relationship with Aubrey. And he's a tireless worker. He's a really talented communicator. He can see the game, and all levels of the defense. Sometimes as a secondary guy, okay, if you just know the back end, he knows how the front and the back tie in together. He and EJ, they're a team back there, and they're just a dynamic group of teachers. EJ and Aubrey and Eric, those guys are all just teachers, leaders, and just so thankful that we have them on our staff. And I know that our DBs, you can just see, how our guys have played, together, to see what Aubrey and EJ and Eric have meant to all of our guys.
Thank you.
Greg?
Hey, Brandon, the majority of the teams left in the playoffs have a guy you'd probably classify as a shutdown cornerback. They've got Alexander, you got Jalen, Tre'Davious White, Marshawn Lattimore, Marlon Humphrey are all still in the playoffs. As a defensive coordinator, what makes having a guy like that who you can put on a guy and just not worry about it makes your job different and makes it better? And what is the advantage of having a shutdown guy that people pay top dollar for?
Yeah, Greg, great points, and so much respect for all those players. I think it changes the math, and how you can approach a way of covering, their eligible receivers. Traditionally, if you need to help a corner on a premium wideout, then there are going to be individual matchups elsewhere that, affect the other players, on your defense. When you have a corner like Jalen, it changes the math. And then, when you have a player that is as versatile as Jalen, where you can put him several different places within a formation, then it increases his value and the value that he creates for his teammates. And I think that, those guys you mentioned, those guys are all outstanding players, but, we feel like we have the best guy.
Thanks.
We'll wrap up with Gary, Jordan, and then Stacy, please.
Hey, Brandon, what's the challenge and the process trying to figure out how you're going to confuse possibly a guy that has seen everything? Is that like sleepless nights kinds of stuff for you, or can you kind of take us through how you come up with a strategy to kind of make him question what he's seeing?
Yeah, Gary, like the sleepless thing, it could make you sleep, longer because you're so tired thinking about it. You could go that way too. That's happened to me too. You either lose sleep or you fall asleep right away because you're just so tired. So it goes both ways. Guys like this, I think the physical ability of Aaron and his talent as a thrower, as a mover, all that I think is obvious to people, but I think that game within the game that makes the truly elite quarterback special is how they beat you with their mind. He's got an incredible awareness of all 22 guys on the field. He's aware of your sideline. He's aware of the officials. He has full command over, what's happening on the field. And that's what truly makes him special. And it's something that requires all of us working as a team in order to compete against him, because he does bring that element to the table. And I think that's why he's one of the special players to play at that position.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Brandon, it's probably a lot of noise around you and a lot of text and phone calls right now, because you're now someone who's being talked about on every broadcast as the game begins, throughout the game, being talked about for head coaching positions. But I'm wondering if there was ever a day or two or a couple of days in your history or your past where you thought, this is really difficult, how can I work through this, and then sort of made it through the other side into this moment?
Jordan, good question. I think as a competitor, you're always engineering yourself to be able to handle the moment that you're in. And I think that it takes, special focus to achieve at the highest level in whatever profession that you're in, but you have to have that focus to be able to maximize your ability. And so that's all it is. It's just being fully present, being able to thrive in that moment, and, trusting all the preparation, trusting all the investment that you have in your craft, to be as good as you can be in that moment, whatever it is, whether it's a practice, a game, an interview. And that's the way I've always approached things like that.
Thanks.
Hey, Coach Staley, I have to think that heading into this game, we're going to talk all week about Rodgers and Adams and their offense, but you have to like your defense, right? I mean, you guys are one of the best defenses in football. What advantage do you think your men have coming into this one against Aaron Rodgers? And I'm just wondering if you could just finish with a comment on their backfield, Williams, Dillon, and Jones, how that really establishes what they want to do with the play action and opens up the perimeter.
Yes, Stacy, great observations, great points about their team. I think I'll just start, kind of at the end of it, Stacy, with those backs. When you have three backs like that, that can all do something a little bit different, I think it makes it, it makes your offense that much more diverse and much more challenging to defend. I think that, what they try to establish with those guys is a physicality. When you have a fresh back in the game that's running hard as he can, because he knows that, there's a guy that can come right in for him. I think that that's an advantage. It can, wear a defense down, if the run game's going. I think it gets the O-line going, Stacy. When you have fresh backs in the game, the O-line, they love to run it, they love to come off the ball. So, they love fresh backs, that are going to come in there and run hard. So, I think that those guys are all unique. I think they all do something different for that offense. And I think it's a big key to why Aaron's having such a good year, because when you have the true marriage of the run game and the pass game, it makes it that much easier to play the quarterback position. And he doesn't need very much help, Aaron, but if he has it, watch out, and I think that that's why, you've had an MVP caliber season again from him. So truly, a great group of runners. And then as for the matchup, this is why, fans love the game, is to see matchups like this, to see, two teams, playing against each other, and, their offense versus our defense. It's still a team game. It's not going to be one side of the ball versus the other. It's going to be the Rams versus the Packers. And that's what makes football so amazing, is that it's the offense, defense, and kicking game coming to the field in that, in that game, in that moment, and, laying it on the line for however long the game goes. So it's just a matchup I think we're all excited about, because they've got a really good coaching staff, a really good group of players, certainly in a great venue, and it's going to be good for the game.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Staley.